Hey everyone, JCS StarCraft here, bringing you Game 5 of the group stage clan match between Inflow and Root Gaming. So, action getting started here on Blistering Sands, and CauthonLuck going to be representing Root Gaming, spawning as the orange Terran in the top right corner, and Jerran the Terran, going to be spawning as the blue Terran. I just said that, in the bottom left corner. So never seen Jerran play before, although his name is really cool. So I'm going to have to give him the advantage for this game just from his name alone. I'd be really scared to play someone who's named Jerran or Jotas or Jurg, because those are all pretty menacing names, I think, to play against. Chthon has really showed his skill as bested. Right now, this is his third match. This is a King of the Hill best of 7. So whichever player it wins can stay on to take things all the way through. And Root Gaming, I think, one of my favorite clans to watch right now. If you ever see them in battle, they are very, very good. Some of their top players include Kiwi Kaki, QXC, and Slush. So they represent all the races pretty darn well. And right now, it looks like pretty standard opening from both players. I think Jerran, I did see him. Wow, a ton of lag in the game, so no observers anymore. In the previous games, I think both clans were watching, and I think that's one of the things about King of the Hill, is to be able to watch your future opponent, see how they play, so you have that advantage going in. A lot of the clans, I think, haven't really played each other before, so this might be the first time that Chthon is playing Jerran, meaning that this is kind of like a blind ladder game, not really sure what your opponent is going to do, and you're going to have to play a little bit safer because of that, a little bit more standard strategies. So no crazy proxy rushing going on right now, and that's going to be a huge risk, because if they detect that, and you don't know what unit composition your opponent is going to be up to, but both players getting their scan in right now, and they look like they are going to be mirroring at the moment. Marine coming out for both players, 12-13, pretty standard. Look, Jerran's going to be building. He does not want his supply depots taken out at all. It's going to be building right in the middle of his forces, and just going to be running right over that with those SCVs. So meanwhile, it looks like Chthon is going to use his supply depots to provide some sort of choke point in case any sort of action starts coming in here, in the wild, or if his opponent has Hellions trying to run in, these two can pop up and stop at least that side, kind of choke things off from there too. So looks like a factory going down pretty far away from the main area of Chthon, so hopefully doesn't want this to be scanned or picked up anytime soon. Marines doing some early scouting across the map. Both players have established these Zelnaga watchtowers on either side, and now the Marines are going to be coming in to take out anything here. 2 Marines obviously sometimes will do the job. Jerran having good reaction time there, sees the Marines and just gets the heck out of there, doesn't want to lose that SCV for no reason. Jerran the Terran still coming back here, and something like a boxing name, Jerran the Terran. Well, it looks like factory going down for Chthon, and it looks like the mirror going down for Jerran as well. Hopefully this doesn't evolve into a tank Viking mirror match. Those are generally not the most fun to watch or cast either. I do remember one of my first casts, I think it was the Muslim versus Jimpo for one of the weekly cup finals, and almost every game was tank Viking. I think a lot of Terran players got tired of that, so started really changing up their play a little bit, adding some Marauders to the mix, adding sometimes going with tank Thor going down, or sometimes just going all bio to try to outrun the tanks and really strategize that way too. But both players playing pretty standard play, and Starport now going down for Chthon, a little bit behind on Jerran. Jerran might be swapping out his something. No, he's going to be going tanks, and he's going to be going something else, so it looks like he won't be doing a swap and just going to be throwing down a tech lag by itself onto the Starport, unless he's going to be not opting for Banshees, but instead he's going to be pumping out the medevac. Not enough gas right now. Oh, just getting a Viking, so pretty, just going for a defensive play by getting that Viking out there. If the Banshee does come in, he was Viking up in the air for it. And right now being scanned by Chthon, so Chthon does not see, he sees something being researched. I think it's either medevac or Viking, because there is no tech lab going down on that starport. And Chthon right now going to be pumping out. No, it looks like Tank Viking is going to be the name of the game. So let's see if anything can change on both sides. Chthon has been pumping out Marines the entire time, which is what his clan mate QXC, one of the stronger Terran players out there, really advises, is Tip number one, obviously a very basic tip: never stop making SCVs the entire game. If you can, always be pumping out SCVs. But tip number two is never stop pumping out Marines from your Raxes, because you always, they're really cheap, and you should always be able to pump them out. They're a great defense against a lot of early harass units, as most of the early harass from both sides are going to be some sort of air. So they're awesome against, or they're vital against Mutalisks. They're great against Void Rays if you can get them before they charge up. And meanwhile, it looks like Chthon going to be getting his expansion down. Jerran the Terran going to be surrounding his tank with some Marines. And looking at the army tab right now, it looks like for some reason or the other, and I'm not entirely sure, but Jerran is behind in his macro. Has a few more Marine units on the ground, but really only has, is significantly behind, 51 over 44. So Chthon just looks like he's a stronger early game player right now. But Chthon is going to be running his units into the tank blast. One of the tanks did go down, and the other tank is down as well. But almost all the Marine units are going to be blasted away, as they do take pretty bad damage from a tank fire. And going to be retreating at this point. Jerran getting as many units on the ground as possible. But for whatever reason, it looks like Jerran was initially behind. Both players are pretty even in harvester count and pumping out everything as fast as possible. And it might be because, hey, maybe Chthon, just kept pumping out Marines, and that could be potentially why he was ahead, because he never stopped pumping out Marines. But anyways, now it looks like at this point, everything's going to even out just a little bit in that exchange. Chthon was able to take out the two sieged tanks, which I was pretty surprised that he was able to do that, but one of them pretty badly injured to begin with, and more siege tanks going down. The Marine production has kind of halted for a little bit, as transfer is about to happen for Chthon, and just kind of focusing more on his tank Viking combination at this point. Looking at the production tab, finally it looks like a Banshee is going to be coming out for Jerran to kind of combat tanks and kind of trying to even out the score on both sides. He is going to be sieging up here on the Xel'Naga Watchtower, using the cliffs to his advantage and that site. So it's going to be Jerran, if Chthon just wanders a little bit out, things are going to explode pretty badly for him. The Xel'Naga Watchtowers do a great job, and right there's an example of things exploding on the spot. With the two siege tanks there, it's going to be even more difficult. Chthon going to move out, trying to do some damage to this army, but there's going to be too much anti-air right there. Going to be, barely escaping with one of the Vikings right there, and Jerran coming out with a Banshee to help supplement his ground army as well, though it doesn't really need it at this point. Might be able to mass up a few more Banshees to really attack the siege tanks of Chthon. So one of the strategies to attempt, but you're going to lose pretty badly to the Vikings in the air if you do that. So hopefully kind of mixing a whole bunch of different units as well, and I hope Jerran's going to supplement these Banshees with some sort of Vikings as well. But the Xel'Naga Watchtower, a pretty good spot for the tanks to siege down, as it gives them the proper site to fully capitalize on their range. Normally tanks cannot see as far as they can fire, which is why you see a lot of tank Viking combinations going on, as the Vikings also provide some sort of air sight to fully let the tanks. My mouse just jumped somewhere that I didn't want it to. I'm not entirely sure why. Anyways, looks like a pretty late mouse fire for me. And Marauders out on the field. Looking at the production tab, Stim finally going down for Chthon, as he's primarily been focused on trying to get out some more units and saturating his expansion, which he has done successfully. Jerran has done the same at this point, and really has kind of locked himself down here. This is a good move by Chthon, just trying to scout around with his Vikings to kind of force Jerran to take away a few of his units. It might be working on timing some sort of attack. Has forced Jerran to kind of like freak out a little bit and reinforce at his expansion, but meanwhile just flying right back home. So yeah, pretty tricky play there by Chthon. Actually, these are flying way past home, just to make sure, and trying to scout it out. I'm not sure if that was intended by Chthon to catch Jerran's attention, but now Jerran has split up his army a bit, and Chthon does see that has occurred. It's going to be dropping the Terran version of the Doom drop right now, dropping right on top of the tanks and running in his tanks as well. Good timing by Chthon, able to take out everything there. Jerran going to be caught off guard, unfortunately. So a great feint by Chthon to drive his opponent and make him scared for the expansion. So flying right back and timing that perfectly so that he could do the the Marauder drop on top of the tanks and ultimately get away with doing a massive amount of damage. And right now Jerran going to be in a lot of trouble. 101 to 84. Running in, stimming running with the Marauders and just getting in there, doing a ton of damage. These Banshees are going to be able to take out the Marauders, but not for long, as they can do nothing against the Vikings at all. And Jerran, unfortunately, looks like, yes, he will. GG. So, Chthon winning 3 games for Root and actually clinching it for them, as well as this Root does go up 4-1 in the series and wins it. So, looks like a Root win over InFlow in the qualifiers. So great game from both clans. Would have loved to see things go down a little bit more, but Chthon was just a very strong player. This has been JCS StarCraft, and I'm signing off.